What's up, everybody? It's your host of the Mint Tea Podcast, Wyatt Graves, and today's guest is my naturopath, Dr. Ryan Kennedy. I wanted to have him on because, as you know, the Mint Tea is a front row seat to the behind-the-scenes journey of me on my journey as a husband, a dad, and as this highly charged, really driven entrepreneur. Maintaining energy and all of the stamina that's necessary, both mentally, physically, so that I can go through all of my meetings, the conversations, the teaching, the coaching, and all of the responsibilities that I put on myself is obviously of the utmost importance. And that is in addition to body composition. I have never had the physical fitness that I have wanted since as early as I can remember. And I've been on this journey, and at the beginning of this year, I decided I would draw a line in the sand and that this would be it. And that's what happened. I decided to hire Ryan. And if you've been following along on my journey, I've went from about 225 to 196 in a matter of 6 months. And it is with all of the help of Ryan Kennedy. So I wanted to have him on the show so that we could talk about the things that he has helped me with and how it has affected my world, so that you might take some observations and apply some of those things to your own world as you seek physical fitness that is anti-aging and empowers you to live the life that you want. So with that being said, let's get into my conversation today with Ryan Kennedy. Ryan, for my listeners, I want you to go over, tell us what your background is. I feel like you do a lot more things than I can probably do you justice with explaining. So tell the listeners who you are and what you do.
My background is in functional medicine. I studied naturopathic medicine in grad school. And for people listening in that don't know what that means, it's essentially a way of looking at healthcare in a more root cause perspective. Rather than masking symptoms with pharmaceutical drugs, my goal in my practice is to figure out what are causing people's symptoms, whether that be headaches, digestive issues, low energy, sleep problems, body composition, hormone imbalances. And rather than just saying, hey, you have a headache, Wyatt, here's some Advil that you could take every day for the rest of your life to manage your headaches, I want to figure out why the heck do you have headaches? And so we run advanced lab testing to look at any nutrient deficiencies, inflammatory markers, all these different things that we can test with state-of-the-art labs to figure out what your body's missing, and then use natural health protocols to bring in the raw materials so that you can feel and function at your best. And so that's a large kind of 30,000 foot view of what I do in my philosophy.
I love that. And so we met, though, at a conference where you were guiding the whole group around breathwork. So that was really, we're going to talk about that. That was really, really fascinating. It was an incredible experience. So where does that fit into this realm of medicine that you're practicing?
I mean, it's the foundation, Wyatt, because our mindset powers every action that we take day to day. And so as I started my practice many years back, one of the biggest challenges that I had, and is a global challenge in this industry, is getting people to do what they already know they should do, right? Just taking action. Everyone knows they should be making better food choices, moving their bodies, going to bed earlier rather than staying up late watching Netflix. But there's this disconnect between understanding what's best for you and what would benefit you and actually putting it into practice, right? There's that bridging that gap. And that all happens right here up in your head, in between your ears. It's all in the brain, all in the mindset. And so I went on a journey to figure out what really drives behavior change, what drives self-sabotage, what drives people to make these choices day in and day out that are ultimately harming them, making their lives worse, not better. And even though they could logically understand that going to the drive-thru at McDonald's and eating ice cream late at night and skipping their workouts is not benefiting them, they do it anyways. What the heck is going on here? And so that put me down a path of human psychology and behavior change that led me to a technique called holotropic breathwork. And that is what you experienced in that session, Wyatt. And this is very different than Wim Hof breathing or the type of breathing people do to relax, like box breathing or yogic breathing. This is a type of very deep, transformative breathwork that puts you into an altered state of mind, that enables you to unpack the subconscious patterns, the belief systems, the past trauma, the past experiences in your life that hold you back, that prevents you from tapping into your highest potential. And so the easiest way I could explain this, I call it peak state breath work, is the kind of thing I've developed, which is taking holotropic breath work and supercharging it essentially with the right spoken word and music and different binaural beats and such that I infuse in my journeys. But it's essentially akin to a plant medicine ceremony with no drugs. It's the easiest, like, one sentence description I can make.
I just wrote the notes. Is this similar to ayahuasca?
Yeah, well, in a sense it is, because it is upregulating certain neurotransmitters, and it's starting to slow down the activation of your prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain that's your monkey mind. It's your ego. It's the part of your brain that holds us back from doing this kind of deep inner work, right? That keeps us more surface level. And a lot of entheogens, which are plant medicines like psilocybin, ayahuasca, all these things, also have that impact in the sense of allowing you to go deeper and go to places in your psyche that aren't easy to access in daily waking states. And so I found this breathing. It was completely transformative to my own life. It enabled me to unpack a whole bunch of stuff from my own past. And I said, I got to figure out everything I can about this thing, because it's the most simple thing. I mean, you lie on the ground and do this specific breathing pattern, and you have these life-changing breakthroughs less than an hour later. It's immediate. It's not like you got to do it every day for a month to see the benefits. It's a one and done thing where you can actually shift so many things about your life and your mindset and your beliefs all in less than 1 hour. And so I started actually not only learning about this, but teaching others and using it as a tool in my practice to really drive these mindset shifts for my patients that were having trouble with breaking bad habits and shifting their behaviors. And man, has it been a huge catalyst that's resulted in enormous success rates with people actually making these shifts. And then even just the breath work and isolation, helping people to unpack different issues that they have in their personal life, different roadblocks in their career, their business, tapping into new downloads and perspectives and ideas that create these massive improvements in their life as a whole. And it's been such a joy to watch thousands of participants go through my sessions over the past 6 or 7 years. I've been leading these breathwork classes, because I mean, like the one you experienced, I'll get rooms of hundreds of people all going at it at the same time, and it's epic. It's absolutely epic.
It was fascinating. I mean, we didn't do it under the auspices of, I didn't know that it was geared towards behavior change when I did it. And I certainly haven't done it with any perspective of weight loss or physical health. So as you guided us through that experience, right, like two things happened. One, relationships with deceased loved ones came back top of mind. And the blessing and the gratitude that they bestowed upon me was really, really felt, really fascinating. Like, I don't normally walk around thinking about those people, like my grandmother and my aunt, but like those relationships came to mind during that session. And then current relationships and the meaning of those relationships in a business perspective really was transformative. It was wild. And then right after we woke up or came back to, right, you had us journal. It was fascinating, and it's still fascinating to go back and read the notes that I journaled about. And the last thing I would say about it is that when we came out of it, I thought we were like 15 minutes, and we were out for almost an hour. It was the most fascinating experience I've ever had. It was crazy and good.
Well, dude, what I'll say, Wyatt, is the journey I led you through at that event was not the behavior change journey. So with this technique, you can guide it in a number of different outcomes, right? So I have journeys that are the ones, like the one that I did with you is one of my flagship breathwork journeys. That's really about finding perspective and clarity on what matters in your life, right? It's about finding deeper love for yourself and for people around you. And that's very powerful for shifting behaviors, because when you start to understand what really matters in your life, you start designing your day and your calendar differently, right? When you say, hey, you know what? I don't really care about buying that next car, that next house, that next watch. Like, none of that stuff really matters. At the end of the day, what matters is the love I have for others and the love they have for me, and spending time with my spouse and my kids and my community. That's what counts. And that can drive a lot of actions and changes in your life when you have this visceral feeling of deep love and deep gratitude, unlike anything you've experienced before.
So true.
And that's what this can really open up.
So I'll go ahead and ask the question now. If people want to connect with you around the breath work, what is the format in which you do that? Is it just conferences now, or how can they, and can we do it on our own? Tell us about that.
Yes to all of the above. Yeah, so I lead live sessions at different retreats and conferences and events. I also do online sessions where you can log on to Zoom and actually do it from home with me guiding you through it. I have pre-recorded sessions that you can purchase on my website as part of my men's or women's programs, where you can actually access my entire library of breathwork journeys and do them on demand 24/7 whenever you'd like. So you don't need me in person to facilitate this, because as you experienced, Wyatt, you're wearing an eye mask. It's an audio experience. You're lying on the ground. And so as long as you have me guiding you through it from an audio perspective, you can do it anywhere in the world, anytime, anywhere.
So good. And what is the name of your website?
RyanKennedyHealth.com.
Hey guys, if you've been a listener of my show for any length of time, you know that I attribute a lot of my growth to learning from the guys inside of GoBundance. If you think that GoBundance is a tribe that you might be interested in joining, then reach out to me. Go to WyattGraves.com, connect with me. I'll reach out personally with you and answer any questions about GoBundance to see if it's the right fit for you. So that was really awesome to frame our conversation and our relationship. So you led us through that breath work at the conference, and it was around the end of last year, which was 2024. And I have been on this, I'm going to say, body composition, weight loss journey as long as I can remember. From an early age of even in 8th grade, high school, like I've ran for miles and miles and miles. I've went on diet after diet after diet, all trying to lose body fat and become lean, fit, firm, flexible, all those words. I've worked with Ron Podolsky, my mindset coach. We've iterated those goals for many, many years. And it's really fascinating today to pause and to look back at my journey to where I'm at today. And I can see all the dots that have been connected that led me to that breathwork journey, and then the decision that finally was made to say, this is it. I'm drawing a line in the sand. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And really in a very vulnerable, scary way, because I knew once I committed, I had to do it. And I decided that I would reach out and hire you as my naturopath doctor to advise, consult, and help me obtain this physical fitness goal. I think we started around, I made that commitment on January 2nd that I'm drawing a line in the sand, this is it. And we started working together somewhere in the month of January, right?
That's right.
And it's June 25th as of the day of this recording. And if I look back on my weight loss journey, physical fitness journey, 7 or 8 years ago, I was 265 pounds. And then I was able to go from 265 to 245 within about a 3-year period of time. And then I stayed at that 245 number until about 3 years later, and went to 225. And dude, I was stuck. 225, 220, 225, maybe 228, 220. Never really could break that 220 mark. And then came into this year, 2025. I made the commitment. I'm done. It's over with. Let's make it happen. We had that breathwork session. I found out that you do coaching, consulting, and that you were an opportunity and an option for me to hire to help me break all the things necessary to get to where I wanted to go. And so that was the first of this year. And as of recently, I hit my newest low was about 196 pounds. I'm currently fluctuating around 200 pounds. We had my body fat updated, and we went from 20 point whatever percent to 13 point whatever percent from basically sometime in January to the end of May. And super excited about the progress that I've made. Not where I want to be yet, but we're continuing the journey. We just updated some goals. And so what I want to say about that is that your coaching and the insight that you've shared with me has been both from an accountability standpoint, massive, but it's also given me the knowledge to then go out and use that knowledge to be motivated to actually change the behavior from a macro standpoint, a sleep standpoint, and all the other things that you're helping me monitor with my blood work. I want to say all that to kind of frame that and say, Ryan, of all the things that a person like me needs to do, what are the top 20% of those things that if we just start with one or two will give us massive progress to then start this journey and accelerate the results?
Well, first of all, Wyatt, I got to give you props, man. You've been crushing it, and appreciate the opportunity to be in your corner along for this journey that you're on. So number one thing is what you did. You got to draw a line in the sand. You got to make the mindset shift and make the decision to take action, to say, I'm tired of feeling tired. I'm ready for change. I'm ready for this, what it's going to involve. And that's the catalyst that starts everything else, right? Is making that decision. And then beyond that, as far as tactical changes, the most important tactical changes are certainly going to be the fundamentals, right? It's nutrition, it's movement, it's sleep, it's stress management, it's environments, it's making sure that you're getting all the basics dialed in. Now, people hate hearing about the basics because they all know the basics. So I'm going to go into some more nuanced stuff because there's a few things that can make or break this progress in a really big way. Number one is your biochemistry, right? So making sure that your thyroid function is optimal, because your thyroid controls your metabolism. You and I were just chatting about this earlier, but if you have low thyroid hormone and your resting metabolic rate is slow, it's going to make weight loss exponentially more challenging. So you got to test to see where your numbers are at. And then you got to bring in natural ways to support your thyroid if that's what's needed. Same thing goes with your hormones. If you're a guy and you're struggling with low testosterone, it's going to make it exponentially harder to build muscle, to burn fat, to have good energy, good drive, good motivation. So even if you have good intentions and you're spending the time in the gym, you're putting in the effort, you're exerting the discipline and willpower with your nutrition, if your hormones are out of whack, your progress is going to be very much handicapped compared to someone with good hormone levels, good testosterone. Same thing goes with women. If you have imbalances between progesterone and estrogen and testosterone, they're going to struggle as well. So you got to see what's going on under the hood in order to know what I need to shift. And when it comes to weight loss specifically, those things are immeasurably valuable. And looking at your gut health and looking at a lot of the functional labs that you and I ran to see if there's any imbalances that are holding you back, that are preventing you from progressing despite eating well and exercising and doing all the right daily actions. Okay, so that's a big part of this. And then the other piece I'll share that I'd say gets overlooked in a few of these things is some quick hitters. Number one, meal timing. Eating an early dinner, one of the most underrated things. You want to create as big of delta between your last bite of food and going to sleep. And for some people, the best they could do might be 5 or 6 p.m. dinner, because that's when they get off work. That's when they, get home for the family dinner. That's all good. Some people might be able to push that earlier, but if you're eating dinner at 9 or 10 p.m., even 8 p.m. on a consistent basis, and you're going to sleep a couple hours later, that is a recipe for fat storage, for poor gut health, and for poor sleep. So you want to try and get your last meal in as early as possible. I personally eat dinner around 3 or 4 p.m. and I love it. I feel great. It's amazing. I sleep fantastic. I wake up the next morning feeling light and refreshed, and it's just a huge key domino where whatever you're eating for dinner. I mean, there's studies on this showing that less healthy foods earlier in the day, like having, let's say, a burger and some potatoes and some rice or something earlier in the day, is actually better for you than having a healthier meal late at night, such as, a salad with some chicken. So you want to try and optimize that meal timing to be more front loaded rather than too late in the evenings. The other thing I've found super effective for people is doing some sort of fasted movement in the morning. And bonus, if you could add some caffeine. So what that could look like is getting out for a morning walk. Morning walk before you've had breakfast, drinking a cup of coffee, drinking a cup of tea. It's a fantastic 1-2 punch combo to upregulate fat burning. It doesn't have to be a walk. It could also be, a jog, a workout in the gym, a yoga session. There's tons of options. You can go for a bike ride, you can go surfing, whatever you enjoy, but doing that in the morning in a fasted state really helps to upregulate those fat burning hormones and start to get that metabolism kicked up for the day. And the caffeine accelerates that process. So that's another big thing. Other things that I find really goes underrated is the importance of muscle mass. This whole concept of muscle-centric medicine. It is true that most weight loss is the result of your nutrition. It's really, really hard to out-exercise a shitty diet, even if you're, going to the gym every morning. Unless you're like a professional athlete and you're training 4, 5, 6 hours a day, if you're ingesting way too many calories and all sorts of processed junk food, it's going to be hard to offset that with movement. With that being said, one of the most important sustainable elements for weight loss is having lean muscle. And this is important for longevity too. It's the number one thing, Wyatt, the number one thing that correlates to your health span. How many healthy years you have on this planet is the amount of lean muscle mass on your body. Okay. And the biggest problem in our society is not that people are over fat, it's that they're under muscled. And the reason is muscle is your metabolic currency. So the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn 24/7. When you're sitting at your desk at work, when you're sleeping at night, when you're exercising at the gym, when you're going for a walk with your family, you just have a higher throughput of calories. And when it comes to food, it kind of sucks to not eat very much food, right? It's not sustainable.
Yeah, especially in South Louisiana.
Yeah, it's not realistic. I enjoy myself eating a lot of good food. And so the more muscle you have, the more good food you can enjoy without clogging up your system and gaining weight. It's also very important for your heart health, your endocrine system, your hormones. It's a very, very big cornerstone to long-term success with this process. And so many people, when they try and lose weight, they do two things. They increase cardio, they decrease calories, and that usually involves less protein. So when you up cardio and you decrease protein and calories, you're going to lose muscle. You're going to lose weight, but if you lose 10 pounds of body weight, 5 or 6 pounds might be body fat, 4 or 5 pounds might be a muscle mass. And that's putting you in a scenario where you're slowing your metabolism more and more and more, which is why people plateau. And then as soon as they're like, screw this is brutal. I don't like this. I'm not seeing good results anymore either. I'm totally flatlined with my progress. They throw in the cards, they start eating a normal amount of food, and they gain all the weight back. Because throughout that weight loss process, they fucked up their metabolism. They slowed down their metabolic rate, and they lost all this muscle. And so that's a big, big piece of this for women and for men, is to be lifting weights at least 3 or 4 times a week, really challenging yourself with some resistance training, making sure you're getting enough protein, at least 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. And those things are going to ensure your long-term success with this process.
So good, man. So good. And I think that for me, the reason that our relationship is working well is because I overanalyze all of these things. And I want to follow the rules. I want to give me the prescription, and I want to go there. And I've read and I've learned, and I can find all kinds of conflicting information, right? Like you're the proponent of working out on an empty stomach in the morning. And for years, I would eat eggs and oatmeal before I would go work out. So I would wake up and then I would go eat. I would wake up, eat, and then go work out. Not that it was wrong, not that I didn't have any results, but like I need to know what and why. And as long as I know what and why and can go there and get the results, which is what has been massively different this go round, then it's easy to stay the course. But then somebody's going to say something, right? They're going to plant that seed of that idea, and then I'm going to need to come back and clarify, right? And so knowing the why behind the what has been really transformational for me in this journey. So that's great. I want to transition to energy. One of the things that from working with me is that on Tuesdays, I usually am heavy in meetings. So I batch my schedule so that I have as many administrative meetings and conversations on Tuesdays as possible so that I can be with people and with teaching and talking and connecting on Mondays and Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And do those meetings with admin are exhausting. It's like 12 hours of having to concentrate and not really sell or teach or talk. And so sustaining energy not only on Tuesdays, but just in general, right? Being able to thrive. Talk to me about some tricks tips, hacks. Yes, we've talked about all these other things, but if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, which I do, and I want to have energy at the end of the day to give to Janae and my kids, which I do, and on the weekends, how important, I know it's important, but talk to me about the importance of nutrition, the right nutrition, the timing, the sleep, the fasting, and all the things towards sustaining energy to then achieve the results that I'm out here trying to achieve.
It's huge, man. Energy is the currency of life, and it's the life force that enables us to go out and pursue the things we want to pursue. And when you're pouring from an empty cup, everything's an uphill battle. And so, yes, those things are important. I'll kind of skim on them just because, again, people hate hearing about the fundamentals. But yes, if you're eating a bunch of carbs during the day, spiking your blood sugar and insulin, you're not going to feel great. That's why a lot of people have that post-lunch crash because they just ate a big Subway sandwich or a bunch of pizza for lunch, and now they feel terrible the rest of the afternoon. So you got to make good nutrition choices. If you're not sleeping enough, that's a big bedrock of this whole process too, is optimal rest and recovery. And movement's great too, because movement helps to upregulate your dopamine and your mitochondria. Your energy systems in the cells that actually generate ATP, the energy currency of the body. And so if you're not getting enough exercise and movement in, you're going to really handicap yourself in terms of how you feel day to day. But moving beyond those basics that people are probably aware of, I'll get into some more nuanced tactics. Number one is near infrared light from the sun. This upregulates our brain chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. It recharges and amplifies our mitochondrial function. So getting outside for morning sunlight, very important. No sunglasses. You don't want to be inside because window glass blocks some of these beneficial spectrums. So you want to go outside, whether that's for a walk, sitting on your patio, doing some movement out there, whatever it is, reading a book. Being outside in the morning for 10 plus minutes, very helpful for your daily energy. And then on top of that, trying to carve out time, if possible, to go out for a midday walk, get some sunlight. One of the problems with people in our society today, Wyatt, is that we're so disconnected from the environment that enables humans to thrive from a biology standpoint, right? We're sitting indoors under artificial junk lights, in front of screens, on our butts all day long. It's no wonder so many people suffer from anxiety and brain fog and fatigue and all these issues is because they're in environments that induce those problems. So having these micro breaks of just going outside for a walk in the sunshine for as little as 10 or 15 minutes. Sure, you could do longer, but that's going to be a great way to start. And just having these little micro breaks in between your meetings, in between your workflow to get outside, to get some fresh air, to get some actual sunlight on your skin, in your eyes, very, very helpful. The other thing to couple that is that this prolonged sedentary time also downregulates your energy. So even doing something as simple as getting up from your desk and doing 20 bodyweight squats, getting right back to work. Those little trigger sessions that I like to call them in between your workflow, not only helpful for metabolic health and weight loss, but also for your energy and mental focus because you upregulate blood flow to the brain, which enables us to stay mentally sharp and feel good. And it doesn't have to be squats. It could be push-ups, pull-ups, lunges, kettlebell swings, doesn't matter. But doing a brief burst of like 60 seconds of some movement. This is not a workout. You're not going to sweat. This is like a very brief burst of movement is super, super effective to stay feeling mentally sharp and good throughout the day. The other piece of this is looking at your nutrient levels. So if you have a deficiency in any of your B vitamins, if you are low in your magnesium, if you have any sort of, if you're lacking some of the raw materials that our brain and body needs to feel good, you're going to suffer from fatigue. And that's the biggest thing I see in my practice is I run these functional labs and I have someone come to say like, man, Ryan, I can't keep the lights on during the day. I feel horrible. I'm drinking all this coffee. I'm trying to just get through it, but I'm just exhausted 24/7. It's brutal. And sometimes these people are eating well, they're exercising, they're getting enough sleep, but the problem is their body is deficient in some of the key nutrients that they need to feel good. And so we bring in those raw materials and they totally turn it around and they're like, oh my gosh, dude, I can see colors again. This is fantastic. Like I feel like better than I ever felt in my entire life. Because our food is so devoid of a lot of these nutrients because of the poor farming practices in our country that oftentimes, even if you're eating a whole foods diet and feel like you're getting good nutrition from your diet, it's very common to see high levels of nutrient deficiencies in a lot of these individuals. And it could be something else altogether. It could be a neurochemical imbalance. It could be gut imbalances. You know, I work with a lot of people on their microbiome health. And if you have a condition like SIBO or Candida or any number of gut imbalances, you're not able to absorb the micronutrients from your food effectively because your digestive system isn't working right. Because we're not just the food we eat, we're the food we digest and absorb. So if you're not assimilating these nutrients, you're going to suffer from these deficiencies. And so that's another big thing that it's hard to just give a broad scope recommendation of go take this vitamin because everyone needs different stuff based on their biology and where their bodies are at. But starting with labs and understanding what your body is missing, what your body needs more of, what imbalances are present. Do you have low hormones? Do you have low thyroid? Do you have issues with your mitochondria? Do you have issues with your dopamine? These shed a lot of light that we can easily and safely and naturally fix. And I do it every day in my practice with hundreds and hundreds of people to enable you to feel and perform at your peak.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think we've underscored or that we need to underscore is the importance of labs, blood work. So we've tested my blood work. I've had a DEXA scan for body fat. We tested urine. We've tested hair, which that's not back yet. And then we've tested a blood prick. Now, the blood prick is not back yet either, but what we did discover with the, we've discovered all kinds of things, right, that we're just kind of tweaking along the way. But I want you to talk about what we're testing for from the hair and from the blood prick, because number one, we haven't went over any of those results yet because we haven't gotten them back. But how's that different than just normal blood labs?
So blood labs are a great place to start by looking at blood chemistry, because that is the best way to test heart health markers to see your risk of heart disease with your various lipids, to look at your kidney and liver function, to check your metabolic health, like your blood sugar and A1C and insulin, as well as your thyroid and sex hormones. This is all best measured via blood chemistry. The thing is, most nutrients are not best measured via blood chemistry. So one of the tests I had you do early on, Wyatt, is called an organic acids test. And it's an at-home test I order from almost everyone I work with that complements blood chemistry really well, in the sense that it looks at your gut microbiome, any imbalances in your gut health that we just kind of went over, looking at mold toxins, candida or fungal overgrowth, bacteria overgrowth, pathogenic bacteria, your levels of healthy bacteria, to see if there's any dysbiosis. It also looks at all your amino acids. It looks at a bunch of your vitamins, things like CoQ10, vitamin C, B complex, looking at all these different things that can be deficient or imbalanced. It looks at your brain chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, stress hormones, really helpful to see if there's anything going on. So that's really complements blood work well. Those are two core foundational ones I run for almost everyone. And then beyond that, the blood prick one I had you do is a food sensitivity panel that looks at your immune system's inflammatory response to 190 different foods. So we can really fully customize and fine tune the best diet for your body. Because I see people all the time, man, who are eating pretty well by general standards, but they have these symptoms, whether it be eczema or skin issues or acne, whether it be headaches or brain fog. Maybe they're experiencing a lot of bloating. Maybe they're experiencing, certain things that they just can't figure out the reason. I mean, I'll tell you a story. About 6 months ago, at the beginning of this year, I had a guy come to me who was having daily migraines every day. And he had done all these brain scans. He flew to the Mayo Clinic. This was a wealthy dude that just went and saw dozens of top specialists to try and figure out, why am I having these headaches? No one could figure it out. His brain scans came back healthy. All these specialists were like, dude, we'll give you some medications to manage the pain, but we don't know why you're getting headaches. There's no tumor. There's nothing we could identify. He comes in to see me. I run a full suite of labs on him. And what comes back is his food sensitivity panel. He's highly sensitive to bell peppers and almonds. No one's going to say bell peppers are the problem for your headaches, or that these are unhealthy for human nutrition.
Sure.
So we pull those out of his diet, Wyatt. Within about 2 weeks, his headaches dropped 80%. By the end of the first month, he hasn't had a headache since. It completely changed this guy's life. And he didn't even like almonds and bell peppers that much. It wasn't even like it was he missed them. Like, he was just like, I was eating these things because I thought almond butter was healthier than peanut butter. And I thought I should increase my vegetable intake. And all we had to do is identify that these specific foods were kryptonite for his biology. They might be healthy for you. They might be healthy for me. They were not healthy for him. And so that's the food sensitivity panel I ordered for you, is to see what foods might be a problem for you. Maybe it's something that most people would expect, like gluten or dairy or certain foods that, we kind of know are problematic for a lot of people. But it could be something else. It could be that you don't tolerate eggs well. You're eating a bunch of eggs. And when we pull those out of your diet, you're like, Ryan, I feel freaking like $1 million now, dude. So that's the blood prick that you do at home. And then the other hair test is looking at all your heavy metals and all your minerals. So seeing if you have any heavy metal toxicity like mercury, lead, arsenic, all these different things like aluminum that can really drive chronic illness and problems for people, as well as your full mineral panel to look at, do you have any deficiencies or imbalances in your copper, in your zinc, in your selenium, your iodine, your magnesium, your potassium, all these different minerals that we could test to see if there's any need for adjusting mineral levels, which can also drive a lot of benefits for people. So those are like kind of the full suite of labs. I do a few others for specific things, whether it be a stool profile, mycotoxin panel. There's a lot of testing out there in the world of functional medicine, but the ones I ordered for you would be kind of what I consider the foundation.
Man, this has been great. Our relationship coaching with you has been great. I'm so excited. I cannot believe that I have achieved these results, really. I mean, this has been a lifelong journey, a lifelong dream to be in this kind of shape that I'm in physically. And so to be here is just really, really surreal. So thank you for working with me, doing what you do. Again, if you'll give your website out for listeners who might want to participate in your breath work or explore hiring you as their coach, where do they go again?
RyanKennedyHealth.com. And I appreciate you sharing your experience, Wyatt. I mean, it's been an honor to work with you, and you have a high bias for action, which is something I'd love to see, where it's like, hey, give me the prescription, give me the game plan, tell me what to do and how to do it, and I'll get it done. And that's a recipe for success in all areas of life, man.
I love it. This has been great, man, and I'll talk to you soon with our next appointment.
Sounds good.